Hey, this is Taylor with Believe in the Run. I wanted to let you know that the podcasts are getting their own channel. As we continue to grow, please search and follow BITR Networks on YouTube and Instagram to find all of the podcast-related content. If you're looking for the shoe and gear reviews, you can find those on BelieveInTheRun.com or search Believe in the Run on YouTube and Instagram. Thank you for your support. Here's the show.
Give a good stretch, got my laces tied. My trusty podcast by my side. If you wanna talk run, it's the place to be. Yeah, it's the drop, D-R-O-P. Believe in the Run.
Hey, this is Taylor with Believe in the Run.
This is Reese with Believe in the Run, if I can say my name.
And this is Alex with Believe in the Run.
Well, I screwed that
Taylor,
up, so
Weiss,
that's a
and
really
Alex.
good start to the game and say my
Well,
name.
your sweatshirt just says don't. Just don't.
Yeah, I'm
Just don't.
I'm really just setting the tone. I'm like, just don't today. Do not mess with
Yeah,
me.
to be fair, you had quite the night that we just heard about.
Yeah. Till at the CSU Vet Hospital until 1 a.m. with my dog. Always fun. And as an equine science student, I was at the equine hospital, and that place is super cool. Everything's huge. Like, you know, you've got these like cranes to move horses around. It's not quite as fun in just like the normal. You're just in a
With a
waiting
little
room
dog
and
you can
people are-
throw under your arm.
Yeah, like people are just like cleaning at like 1 a.m. and it's just like a really weird dichotomy of like people are like crying about their animals and then some guys just like sweeping the floor and mopping and then vacuuming under you and you're like, life
Excuse me,
goes
pardon
on,
me.
I guess.
Yeah.
Very bleak.
My dog did not die. Let's be honest.
Okay, good. Yeah. Is he napping right next to you currently?
Yes, they are. They're
Okay.
very good. Yeah.
Perfect.
How are both of you
Whereas
doing?
I was like, for whatever reason today, I just want to own winter a little bit more, of like the rhythm of winter. And like, I'm always
What
one
does
to
that
wake up
mean?
before the sunrise. Yeah, I know. Like, we had a crazy holiday season, and like, Alex, you've had kids at home, and it's just so busy during the holiday season with like my wife's work, our work, I guess, with Believe in the Run, and then like just the kids as they get older. Just so much was going on between like basically Halloween all the way to the end of the year. And I'm like, it just doesn't feel natural or good all the time, which is fine. Like, I'm obviously living with people and doing life with people is a sacrifice in itself. And I love all that, but it was just way too busy for us as a family. So in January, our whole goal is to do the least amount as possible and kind of like go with the rhythm of the day. When it's dark, and we'll be kind of like relaxed and just chill. And when it's daytime, then we can do our things and work and run and all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of owning that. And I slept in until, this is big for me, guys, 6:10 today, 6:10 a.m. Yep. And yeah. So that was
Like
me.
that.
I got extra
You
sleep
knew
and
you,
you
Taylor.
didn't. I know.
Usually
I don't
go
think
and
I can
stop
keep
and
that
you're done
rhythm,
with the run by the
honestly.
time I get up.
Yeah.
When you
yeah.
guys camp, at least I don't know if this happens to you, but like I regress to like this is like, you know, someone that is like very into like caveman theory might jump on this one, but I literally, the moment that sun goes down or even is like marginally dark, I am in bed and it could be like 7:30 and I'm like, I'm ready to go. I have nothing else to do here.
Yep.
I'm going to sleep.
Yep.
It's great.
We're
I
the same
wouldn't-
way. It like gets a little dark and we're like, we have to get in the tent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I
Well-
have no plans.
Especially us out west, if you can't have a bonfire, that's the only thing I stay up for.
Yeah.
And so if it's a season where you
Agreed.
can't do that, I'm in the tent as well. But then I'm usually up as soon as there's any sort of like coloration in the sky.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that.
Okay. How's your guys' training this week? You guys are both training. I'm just kind of running, and it was great to do runs at all. But you guys are both training for quite the big endeavors.
Alex, you go first.
I am just trying to recover from the holidays because it's been a lot, and it was just like a lot of travel back to Minnesota. It was a long drive that we decided to do all in one shot, which has its benefits and drawbacks for sure. But I'm just
How
trying to
long
get
is it?
into kind of consistent training. So trying to just hit like 50 miles a week and get my long runs in. I think this week is 16 weeks out from Cocodona. So
Amazing. That's exciting.
yeah.
I head down to Phoenix in 2 days to go run some of the Black Canyon course, but my hip is still kind of just like funky. It gets better as I run, which is like, again, weird. It's got to be a tendon or muscle tightness. And like part of me, I'm able to do, like, I don't know, 80 something mile weeks. And like, it's not like worse. It's actually getting better. But I just told myself if I'm not feeling good, or if it's like not great in the next couple weeks, like I just won't go. Like I don't want to run 62 miles on a like slightly
don't do
not,
it. Don't do
not
it.
happy.
You'll end up like
hip.
me.
Yeah, it's not important enough to be injured long term. So
Is it like front of hip stuff?
kind of, yeah. And it's like quad, front of hip, like a little bit around the hip. But for the first like 2 miles or so, it's like, okay, it's like a little annoying. And then it's totally fine. Then I like don't even notice it at all.
Is going up less painful than going down? I'm pretending that I know anything about
No,
injuries.
yeah. So going uphill is great. And going down, the more I go up, the easier it is to go downhill. Yeah. Have you
I
had
had
It's the
a similar
extensors.
thing where it was like hip deep, like deep in like the front of my hip, and then it would like radiate back to my glute, my quad, and
Yeah.
I ended up with a torn hip labrum, which I think I have it on both sides.
geez.
But
Oh,
the doctors were like, if we MRI'd most runners, they would have this.
yeah.
So I ended up getting a cortisone shot and ran pain-free for like 2 years.
Yeah, that's
And
what
now I
I
just do some
was.
strength work and it's fine.
I was curious if it was a labrum thing. I don't know.
Or did you sleep wrong? Because that's usually my thing.
We're at that
Well,
age.
I think it
Sleeping
had to
can hurt
do
us.
with some downhill running and then some shoes that I was testing that are not quite as stable, and I think needed a lot of stability, which is like kind of a bummer. But yeah, I was like, maybe it's a torn labrum. It doesn't have any of the clicking or any of like the weird. I can do like a pistol squat, one-legged deadlift, like everything is totally fine.
Okay, suck it up, Buttercup. You're going to
know.
Black Canyon. Just kidding.
Yeah. Anyway, but Taylor, but what is this aside from like real training? I want to know about this league that you've been mentioning.
yeah.
Is that what I
So
should be
this is
doing
something-
instead of Black Canyon?
I mean, it depends on how important burritos are in your life.
Not
I mean,
very.
the big news of this time of year right now is the Burrito League that Jamil Khoury, runner and owner of Aravipa and Mountain Outpost and all that. Jamil, everybody knows Jamil. So last year he did this segment. So Strava and was it Chipotle or was it? I feel like it was Chipotle. One of the burrito chains, right? And so they had the Strava segment out front of the store that just went back and forth. And so the person at the end of the month in January who had the most Strava segments completed would get a year's worth of burritos, which now we know, like in my mind, I'm thinking I'd go in 3 days a week and get a burrito if that's the case. But it was 52 burritos. So you'd get, one a week. And they put up an insane amount of miles, like, I don't know, like 600 miles on the segment. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong on that for sure. It's not very long. It was like, I don't even want to say the number. This is the kind of like the weird, very niche, just weird is the best way to describe it, type of ultra running that I'm not particularly into. I can get into it and like enjoy the social media side of it. And because there was eventually some coverage, because there was a couple guys going head to head, hundreds of miles on this one segment. And so this year, I know there was high hopes for it to happen again. So somebody could win another year's worth of burritos. But Strava and Chipotle didn't show up to the conversation.
Wow.
He ran
So-
735 miles, by the way.
Holy cow. Most of that in the H1
Or
too.
2,000 segments in January 2020.
Who did that?
Jamil, that's how far he
Oh
ran.
my God. So
Doing
is
that
it
segment.
one segment in front of one particular Chipotle?
Yes. So it was in
Okay.
Tempe, Arizona.
Okay.
And so they were hoping whoever they is, I know Jamil was, and a couple other guys, because I know there's some people that were out there running it already, just in case it was going to be happening. But it never happened until Jamil and his posse established the Burrito League, which is basically the same thing. You're going to try to win a year's worth of burritos, but now a bunch of brands have kind of hopped on board, and like Mount to Coast is going to give a year's worth of shoes, and other brands are hopping in and giving their own prizes for the winner, which is pretty cool. But the coolest thing, I think, is that now it's popping into cities all over the country. I bet all over the world. I don't know if Chipotle or burritos are popular anywhere outside of the U.S., honestly. But like now there's one in Denver. You can go down. BP Run Co. is hosting it in Denver, and I'm sure Salt Lake area has one that's going to pop up.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
might.
If someone did
Check
like
that.
egg, cheese, croissant club league, I'd be
Dude.
there for that. But like a burrito is just,
Any sort of French pastry.
yeah, like I guess like I'm not that committed to the burrito lifestyle, but it is convenient and you can make it any flavor, just wrap it in a tortilla, I guess. So that's kind of nice.
Totally.
But like, I don't think I'm going to Chipotle. I don't know the last time I went to a Chipotle.
Yeah, same.
It's got to be
Yeah.
like
See,
over 6 years.
to our conversation for last week's conversation, when we're on the road, like through Nebraska, North Platte, Nebraska has I can never remember them. There's like Chipotle and a few others that are basically the same, Pancheros and blah, blah, blah. But they have
feel like
a
those are
burrito
fighting
place
words.
like that. I know. Someone's going to.
There are people that are gonna be like
Call us
Chipotle
out.
and Qdoba are not the same.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're
Ouch.
the same for me. And so whatever one it is in North Platte, Nebraska, we always stop there for lunch because it's like the only place that's you can have a fairly healthy, nutritious lunch without having to go 7 miles off the interstate.
I mean,
And so that's the
I don't wanna
extent of my love for those burritos. So I'm
I don't
not
wanna get
entering the
too-
Burrito League.
Well, like back to our conversation about gas stations, I'm the person that looks at that frozen burrito they offer called the Gut Buster. Yeah. Like, who is eating this while on a road trip? I literally can't think of like much worse like food option than eating something called a Gut Buster and then sitting in my
And then get in your
car.
car. Right.
Yeah.
Eat it while you're at the gas station so you can take care of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just stay there for a while.
Yeah. And I'm someone who, like, I can handle quite a bit in my stomach. I guess I did the burrito and then we ran down from the high camp
Yeah.
challenge. Like, I can handle that, but I'm not going for the Gut Buster either. So my question is, are you guys motivated by something like the Burrito League?
Immediately, no.
Same. No.
Absolutely
And I guess
not.
it's kind of, in some ways,
Also,
kind
kind
of
it'll
like the
involve
same.
crowds, which I'm also not huge on.
Yeah, because you're going to have all these people on the same segment. So that's one thing. And I was thinking it's kind of like grit in the sense that you're trying to amass as many miles as possible. But you're right. That's the like demotivator for me of like all on one segment. Everybody's there trying to do this one segment as many times.
Yeah. I have a hard time doing races with even like a 25-mile loop that you do 4 times. So like
Yeah,
doing a
exactly.
0.22 mile segment over and over.
On
Sounds
pavement,
really
nonetheless.
horrible.
This is a trail running podcast.
And I also just, maybe this is like a weird thing. Like, I think Strava is just kind of like a joke. Like, I definitely think it's funny when people are like really hyped on like, I got this QOM, like right before the end of the new year, some person in Fort Collins like took like a random crown from me and they were like, one more crown for 2025. And I was like, oh, that feels
Take that, Reese.
bad. Yeah,
Second
that feels
reason.
bad. Like, don't define yourself by some like obscure Strava crown. Like it just feels, but I guess like that being said, I do think it's funny for me that when someone's really hyped on Strava, I will go and seek out their crowns because I'm like,
Are you going to take it back?
Gotcha.
yeah, I'm like, this is fun. Like, this means a lot to you, and I'll just be a troll. Like, whatever. I'm bored. But I think I just have a problem with like Strava-based personalities and self-affirmation. Like, I'm just like, oh, you are worthy on your own.
Right.
I do have to say that early on, because I was a late adopter to Strava, and early on when it was like all of a sudden like, wow, I can see all these other people who have run this route and segments. What is that? It was motivating in terms of like, I don't know, it's kind of fun to own your local mountain in my eyes. But then I got too competitive and like every run became a like, let's find a segment I can take.
So Taylor's
And
that
nowadays, I'm not exactly that person of taking crowns, but nowadays of like, I'll use them for workouts. Like if I'm doing a workout and I'm like, oh, okay, this segment, it has the percentage of elevation gain and all that kind of stuff. And it kind of fits what I want to do in a workout. And I might use it as extra motivation every now and then. But the one that really gets me is if you finish a run, not even worrying about it. Like I don't check routes beforehand when I go for a run or a long run for segments. But when you get to the end, it's like, oh, you're second place. By 1 second or 2 seconds, that's where I'm like, oh, dang it. Should have looked. But,
damn, should have
yeah.
done it.
Okay, but if you were going to do the Burrito League, what shoe would you take?
I mean, it's road.
It is road.
It's like sidewalk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. Like,
Concrete. Yeah, I don't even know the shoes. I was kind of
Yeah,
trying to
I mean-
segue into this shoe because this shoe, and for those who aren't watching, I have the Speedland GS BLK, GS Black. I'm holding up, and I've always thought that this is a shoe that if I'm going to do like an insane amount of miles or 200, which I never will, or just need a consistent, stable shoe, this might be a shoe that I would take on something like that. Just over and over, repetitive.
Taylor, do you
pounding.
think those 6.5 millimeter lugs would serve your feet well on that sidewalk? I was feeling them on like a gravel road. I was like, this is.
That's a good
very
question. Yeah.
intense.
they are
Yeah. Thick boys all the way around.
Yeah.
And we all have it. I've been in pretty much every iteration of the GS series. I think every iteration of Speedland
right?
shoe that's for trail. And so I have my own opinions on it before I have even run in it. Because I ran in the GS TMT, which is, I think, identical in terms of build and everything. And is the most updated of the GS series with the GS Black. But I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on this shoe in particular. And Alex, I know you've run in it.
Yeah. So I like it. So I took it out on just like the BSD, which is our shoreline trail here, and kind of did a mix of the canal road, which is like a gravel road, very flat, and then getting on a little more technical trail. But for me, the lugs are pretty aggressive. I'm used to running in like a 4 millimeter lug, and I could really feel that extra. And I think it was the first version where they provided like a little pliers almost where you could like snip part of the lug off to kind of adjust.
So like
exactly.
these ones, the originals that I'm holding up right now, you can clip those lugs. And it was an easy tool just to like
I find myself
basically a
wanting
wire snips.
to do that because I feel like it's a little aggressive for anything I'm on, and it's not usually muddy here.
Yeah.
So overall, it felt okay. I think that was a little bit distracting to me. And also, when I try to get a heel lock, I end up having to really tighten down the boa. So that top one especially, it's like coming over the top of my foot. And I have a little like metatarsalgia kind of ongoing where it always kind of feels like I have a stress fracture in my foot. And then cranking that down really adds to that. So just trying to play around with a different sock and trying to make that a little more comfortable. But overall, I like the midsole feel. It obviously has great tread and great traction. Just still in the process of breaking that in.
Have you run with and without the carbon plate in?
It didn't come with the carbon plate, so I haven't tried that. I think that's separate. Is it separate now? It used to come with it.
Sometimes it comes with it. My most recent one didn't. But yeah, it's the same plate. So if you have the others still, you can still pop it in there. But yeah, I kind of had the same issue in the black version and the TMT, which I do think the TMT is the best colorway. I don't know if I said that before already, but
I hate all black.
And see, I usually do too, but for some reason, this one, I don't know why. This one really? I enjoy. And maybe it's the winter season. Maybe it's just that I'm so used to seeing black right now.
It also looks a lot to me like a bike shoe. Like I just got on my bike.
Yeah. And so I was going to say my issue too, I had that same issue with just trying to get a good lockdown, which initially when the first version came out, that dual BOA system, all the technology on it, it was like very revolutionary. Even when they came out with the first GS series, it was really exciting to have a high stack. But now they've kind of just it's like the micro adjustments. Like even when shoes come out with a new update or slightly adjust something, it's fairly noticeable. But most of the adjustments in this haven't been noticeable over time. If you put your feet in the first one and in this one, then you're probably gonna feel the difference. But yeah, I did have some. I prefer the strap actually that they've had on a couple versions on the top. For that heel lockdown. The other issue I had is like, it's a big shoe still. Like it's sizable, it's weighty, and there are many shoes, like even like Reese's favorite over there, the Hoka Mafate 5. Is that the one? Okay, maybe it's not your favorite.
No, it's not my favorite.
It's the one we wore in Chamonix.
I mean, it's not my favorite.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're being facetious.
Yes, I was being facetious.
Okay, I'm like, it's
facetious.
a thick.
That's a tough word.
It's a thick shoe.
It's a thick shoe, and this is too. I don't think this quite comes to the stack height of that, but this just feels like a much bigger shoe. And so it's less stack and feels bigger and heavier. Those are my knocks, but it is a unique midsole ride. I think if you're going the distance or want a shoe that's going to be worth it for the long haul. And I really like what Speedland is doing. There's a market for this shoe. I know it. They're doing like Running Warehouse is selling more of these than most other shoes. That's one thing. But there is a market for this particular shoe, but I'm excited about what's coming because this one just kind of feels old to me. It does feel old to me. I'm just going to say that.
Mm-hmm. What size are you both in? Are you like the same size as your normal shoe?
Mine came in a 7 and I'm an 8.5. I'm looking at the box right now.
Because I was sent a 7.5, which is my normal size. And I was like, well, this is probably a full size too big. Got a 6.5 women's. And now because the toe box, like the toe protect area feels thinner and like the toe protect is pretty like inflexible. Now it feels like my toe is just like pushing up against the top. So I'm like, I guess I could go to a 7, but that also feels a little bigger than I would want. But I think because of that toe protect area and just the way it's maybe not quite as voluminous, I feel like I would have to just go a bigger size than I normally would. But I don't know if y'all have the same experience.
Yeah, mine is a 10.5, and that's what I normally wear. But I also wear 10.5. I could do 11 in most shoes too. And so I think if anything, it fits slightly big. But for me, like I think if I was going to go for an ultra distance, my true to size is going to be pretty good for me. One thing I do have to say.
Sizing? Is that why I got a 7?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so. Yeah. And so the one thing is like if you're looking for stability, if you're looking for a little bit of bounce, because it has like an inner midsole and an outer midsole, both TPE and PIBA EVA blends a bunch of proprietary stuff going on in there, and the capability of adding the plate. I typically prefer the plate for like a little more dynamic stability. I don't need this shoe to be firmer per se, but it just adds a little bit more stability there. But it also is a really wide shoe. So it can be a really wide. I think it's a great recipe for going the long haul at
it's highly protected.
A slower pace. Yeah. And it's hard to find a shoe with this stature that has such a nice fit. And that's, that BOA system, but it has to work on your foot. That's the thing. If it doesn't,
the tongue, when you tighten the BOA, the top one especially, does the tongue kind of like
mine did that
scrunch up?
Yeah.
Because then I'm trying to like get in there and like push it down, and I'm like, maybe if this is separate somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just too much right on top of my foot.
Yeah. I think the ideal person for this is, again, going the long haul, and if you have a more voluminous foot, because it does also have that more anatomical shaped forefoot. Voluminous. And
it sounds like you're selling mascara. The max volume, luminous,
max volume,
and GS black. I mean, that does sound like it could be a mascara.
It really could.
100%.
Okay.
I mean, they're into their partnerships. Maybe they need to get in on that.
Maybelline. Maybe it's Speedland. Maybe it's Maybelline.
One never knows.
All right, moving on. That segment's done.
On. Yeah. That jury's still out there on this one performance-wise, but
yeah.
I just wish it was more updated, and their new shoes, this is the last thing I'm going to say. Their new shoes that are coming out in 2026 are kind of leaning into that lighter and faster and still maintaining high cushion. So I'm really excited about it.
They also have the strap instead of the top BOA?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think that will help.
So a couple of their versions, which is like the RX, which is like their road super shoe. They're trailifying it is the word I put out there. So hopefully that's going to be more of the racer's mentality instead of the long haul. But our big topic today is crewing. And Alex, you brought this one to us out of potentially genuine concern because you have a big race coming up.
Genuine concern. Deep concern.
I mean, the idea of crewing can be different for every person. That's one thing. But I feel like there could be a general set of guidelines that maybe we can potentially flesh out in this next, 20 to 30 minutes. I don't know. But the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, it's so dependent. So what are you thinking? What are you thinking, Alex?
Yeah, I was just curious to get your thoughts on when you choose to have a crew, if you ever go without, and when that is. And then kind of what are your prerequisites or qualifications for people who you pick to be in your crew? Because I know a lot of people are like, let me know if you need help, I'll help you. You know what I mean? But you think about the logistics of even a regular race versus like a 5-day thing where I'm like, this is a huge commitment. You're taking a week of your job off. You're like leaving your pets, your family, whatever, traveling all the way down to Arizona in this case, and then getting yourself kind of emotionally and physically as wrecked as me without like the
without the fun adventure
without
side.
being able to finish a race, and like they're up all night, they're not showering, they're trying to take care of themselves the best they can, but it's just a huge thing. And I'm curious kind of how you navigate some of those things, like what your expectations are, what you provide for your crew in terms of like the very clear plan or just kind of what you expect. And I don't know, just kind of what's worked well for you and what, if there's ever been any kind of mishaps.
Taylor, do you want to go first or?
Yeah, sure. The first thing that comes to mind is like, there's a few things like I wrote down of like, what's the runner's particular goal in the race? And I think like, is it just to finish, like to complete a big goal? Are you competing? Is it just for fun? And so like, I think that those, when you nail that down for yourself as a runner, that can help you figure out who you could potentially pull in. Because there's some cases where it's like, and actually most cases for me in particular, because I don't do a lot of the big, long 100-mile races of like, I just want my family there. Honestly, they've done it enough. My girls are old enough that Dawn can kind of like hand me a bottle through an aid station, but that's also going to be like between the 50K and 50-mile distance. I'm not going to ask my kids to be out there in the middle of the night. And so that's when I think duration is a huge piece of it for me. And then also location. Like a friend asked me to, and I was glad to do this. I was all in on whatever he needed to do, but I've, crewed him for Leadville, some other races nearby, kind of like just routes that he's running, and then Bighorn. And I know you have experience up in Bighorn, Alex, of like, that's a completely different race and completely different ask of someone, because you're driving sometimes like 3-4 hours to get to the next aid station and backwoods. And if you're crewing and pacing so there's just a lot of things to consider, I guess.
Yeah. Well, Bighorn,
kind of
I got stung at like 10K in and dropped. So I was like frantically trying to call my crew that was like on the way from Utah and intercept them. But they ended up kind of having their own weekend. But yeah, that was another thing of like when you DNF and all these people have showed up for you.
Done that. Yeah.
I think that's kind of my thing, is the requirement for me outside of being my husband. Like, you're just, sorry, it's happening. You're committed. I'll pay for you to be there, honestly. But normally it's like, I have to know the person well enough that if they're traveling for me, like, I should be paying for as much as I can for them to get there. Making sure it's like the least financially draining on them. I want to be comfortable knowing that like, if there needs to be like a good enough relationship where if I drop out, I'm not letting them down. I think like that's a hard thing where like they're self-sufficient enough to be like, okay, I can make this a weekend for myself now. I could go crew someone else if I want to. I think that's really important, as like no expectations outside of like, if all things are going well, here's where I'm going to be and like, here's where I need you. But if that doesn't work, like, please go and do whatever you want. Like, you aren't obligated at that point. I think that's really important.
And if it doesn't happen to be like your best friend, like my best friend and my mom come up right away. And if neither of them are in that trail running space for you personally, I probably wouldn't count on them for anything big. Like, they can be there, but in terms of like handling the crewing itself, because being there and spectating is very different than crewing. So I guess that's another thing of like, who do you want to be there in general, but who is actually doing the crewing, who's doing the spectating? Whereas like most people probably couldn't call on their mom, but my mom has been at like every single race I've done. And so we've definitely learned together. And so she could probably handle it in most situations. But maybe that's the thing. Yeah, don't always call on your mom or best friend right away.
I mean, my mom.
My best friend's been to none of my races, so he would be just lost. I wouldn't expect that on him.
I think my mom crewed for JFK. She's always like, but she like scouted the course before. And I think for me, and I'm curious, especially Alex, you have huge logistics to plan for your races. I love the logistics part. And so I give people like, here's where I'm going to be. Here's like the package of stuff to give me. I've sorted it out. Here's my time frame if things are going well, which like also it's like the next aid station timing also depends on like those. And so I have kind of like a sheet of what to do when, and like what to hand me. And there's definitely like a screenplay, if you will, of events that should unfold. And I think like having someone that can follow directions really well, because the last thing I think a runner wants is to go through an aid station and their crew to not have been there. So I think it requires someone to be like, okay, I gave Reese this thing and she was 30 minutes ahead of best time schedule. The rest of the plan is now like, we have to start like improvising, but like, here's exactly what needs to happen, and kind of troubleshooting, but knowing that there is like time frames and like estimated arrival times, like those all need to adjust. So I need like air traffic controller kind of.
Do you have your
personnel.
husband kind of like be in that coordination role of like, okay, this is the plan we're going to go with now that she's ahead or behind, and kind of coordinate all that if there's other people?
And like, because I'm not like doing pacers, because that's totally separate, because there's like crewing, pacing. And for him, a lot of the time it's just him with like a schedule and like a bag of like random things to give me. And so for racing, it's a lot easier. For some of the like big adventures where I did like Bryce Canyon FKT or the Grand Canyon Rim Trim to Rim or the Tonto Trail, then it's totally different because we don't have service. He can't really see exact locations and like timing. There's no like aid station check-ins. And so he's running like almost a marathon or over a marathon to come give me like a liter of water. And then he's running out, driving, running back down to go meet me. And so he knows me better than I know me, I think, at this point, where like I'll be going in early of my projected times. And he's like already there. He's like, I know how this is going to go. Although I will say for the Grand Canyon at 30 miles, I think it was, or 30, I forget what it was over that. It was like 30 something. I had 6 miles to go. But he was like, okay, on your sheet, you said you would show up at 6 hours. Literally, the clock like ticked over to 6 hours and I like rounded the corner. He's like, oh my God, you're a metronome. Which I was like,
and to your point, like, I kind of think when you're naming like a crew chief, I personally think that's like almost a little too serious for most people. And fine on if you're going to like call him crew chief. Like I called my wife my crew chief when I did Leadville because I think there's like a specific goal, like racing mentality, sure. But for someone in that crew chief, like the head of the crewing, because there's likely multiple people in this case, of like you have to have someone who's really good with logistics.
Yes.
And so like my wife is very good with logistics, whereas I can be good with the logistics. Like when I'm at the crewing station, I will do everything for your feet. I'll get you your bottles that you need, all that kind of stuff. But when it also adds like getting to this point, into this point, into this point with this bag and that pair of shoes. So just like, there's probably, just like some characteristics of the oldest child that would go along with being the key characteristics of being a good crew chief. And so having an appointed person, I guess, is maybe the piece that goes by. And it's easy when it's just one, quote unquote, easy.
Right. When
it's just one person that you're relying on because they have all the details and everything you need. But when there's multiple people, like when I did Leadville, so like my wife, logistics master, she knows me again, like you're saying, better than I know myself. She knew all the locations, would take the time to do all that. And then like my mom, who has also been at every race, she like knew what to do, like when I'm in the aid station, how I was feeling, all that kind of stuff. And my sister, who is very much like that too, she had never been there though. Like she's just like in it to spectate. And so finding someone who has a little bit of experience, I guess, would be helpful and is logistics savvy.
Was Robbie crewing or was he going to be your pacer?
So he was going to be my pacer. So for the most part, he was like kind of spectating along for the ride. And so like in my Leadville experience, like we had, since we were there with media, like obviously Robbie and Bryant, who is there, who's also a friend of Believe in the Run, and I, like, it was a unique case because, La Sportiva is taking care of all that. Mm-hmm. But in Leadville's case, like, I would typically want to, like, camp and do all that kind of stuff. But there's no camping available really all summer in Leadville anyway. Yeah. So what we did is that we ended up, renting an Airbnb for kind of like base camp for everybody. Also had kids, multiple people come into pace and crew, and we paid for that. And so that's like, I felt it was necessary to do that and have like a big cooler of food. But also I would not have the means to do that multiple times a year.
Right.
Like that's like a once every 5 years thing for me to be able to do that probably. And so like that's hard when that is like almost, it's a kind of a cordial thing to do, because it is asking a lot anyways. But also like I can't put my wallet into anybody else's experience, like I can do that once. Some people can do that every weekend if they wanted to. So it's a weird set of expectations that you're kind of putting on others and putting on yourself when you're getting into this crewing thing.
Right.
Alex?
I want to like help with logistics, and I want to make sure they know the plan really clear. And like you said, Reese, making sure I have like a detailed plan of like, here's if things are going surprisingly well. Here's kind of where I expect things to go. And then here's kind of like, let's just make it to the finish line under cutoff. But the other thing, like you said, Taylor, is like, I really want to make sure they're taken care of. So like over the course of this next race, it's like, I want to do like lodging before and after, but then it's kind of like this big window of I could finish Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so it's trying to manage that, and then putting someone in charge of like, hey, if we're on track with this, make sure people, if like somebody needs lodging mid race or something, like take care of that. And then, just kind of managing expectations, making sure people are taking care of themselves. I almost like to have a couple of people who might not be jumping in pacing, who are almost like supporting crew in these super long, like week-long things. And like, I don't know. Not because you get too big of a group and it's hard because it's like expensive, first of all, and managing logistics and interpersonal stuff that might come up gets more complicated. But it gets kind of tricky.
And I think it's like, it's one thing if it's like a race that's half day, and then you step into those races that there's potentially one night or 2 nights of lodging. But then when you're like thinking like 5 to 8 days out here, for those who really commit, like, that's a whole nother question that that it would be interesting to hear from some people who have done it. Like I have a good buddy, John. Hi, John Grotenheist. He did Cocodona, and like his dad always comes to everything. And so like, that's one thing when it's your dad, and then, his girlfriend too. So there, but then whenever there was somebody else added in, he wanted to make sure that, it was the right person. Because if you're all in a van together, they were doing it out of like a van or like a mobile car type unit. Like that's also quite different. Like who can you count on being together, and their energy when you see them is going to definitely probably affect you as well. And so, it's such a dynamic thing.
And I think for me, there's like the people I want crewing for me, the logistics type. And then if I have a pacer, which like I have been a pacer. As a pacer, I want to know kind of what my role is. Like, am I the nutrition person? Like, am I going to be like, hey, you need to eat. Hey, you need to do this. Like, do I need to have like stories ready? Do you want me to not talk? So I think there's like knowing the person well enough. And that doesn't happen. Like my runner once at Leadville dropped out, and I like paced some random person, and that was fun. But I think just knowing the vibe.
Fun for an extrovert.
Knowing the vibe for who you're pacing is important. Like, I think sometimes like the person like doesn't want to talk, and you're like, that's fine. Like, I'm here for you. Like, I'm happy to do whatever. And so I think knowing that, because it's not only just like logistics support, physical of just being there with someone, but it's kind of like this emotional thing. And I think knowing when to push the person, like if they're like in a deep, dark zone, and sometimes I do need someone to like just coddle me, tell me I'm fine. And then sometimes I need someone to be like, buck up, like this is going to get better. Like remind me that this is we're fine.
You chose to do
I need
this.
people not to be nurturing. That's why I could never have it wouldn't be possible to have my mom, but that's why I need not a mother figure. It's I need people to not ask me how I am, to not feel sorry for me, because I already feel so sorry for myself. And I need them to just be very objective and here, put your shoes on, here, do this, change your socks, just do this. Yeah. Don't let me complain. Don't let me talk. Jared crewed Tahoe for me all by himself. And he would basically have me take my shoes off and then give me a bottle. And then I would drink that by the time I left. And here, put your shoes back on. It was just very methodical. He didn't really ask how it's going. I wanted to tell him, I was the trail's terrible. Everyone hates it. It's the Tahoe Rim Trail. So it's the best, one of the best trails. But I was everyone hates it out here. No one wants to do this race. No one's coming back. And I was I don't even, I was just trying to convince him how horrible it was. And it's it was so much energy just being you're not believing me, so I'm going to try harder. So I feel people who are kind of shut their emotions off, don't react, even if something's bad, my feet got really bad. And if people react in a way that's whoa, then I'm oh yeah, it is bad. And then I kind of carry that with me. I need people to kind of be a little dismissive, a little cold.
Do you find that you you feel you regress a little bit to where you're that child waiting for the reaction of the parent? You're
yep. And just keep escalating to get a reaction that I want. Yeah. My husband could talk about that a lot.
Yeah. I think we should really get our partners and they should just run.
They will do the next podcast.
Oh my God. Actually, that would be really funny.
It would be so funny.
Okay.
I cried myself to sleep in an outhouse bathroom at the end of Tahoe. And I was sitting on the floor, and he's done all of these similar things. So I'm you don't understand how hard this is and how much I'm suffering and how much pain I'm in. And he's been awake for days. So I'm being
totally unreasonable
doing this to him.
Well,
and I fell asleep crying, and then I woke up and I was so confused. I was what are we doing? I'm we gotta go. So then we left. What's wrong with you?
and not to add a whole nother layer to this conversation, because it'll have to be another conversation, but crewing itself, the logistical pieces of it, I have been more tired and just mentally, emotionally exhausted from crewing and pacing than I have from any of my races. And so that's something to consider too, who can hang.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, when George crewed the Tonto Trail for me, so that was 47 miles that I was running in the Grand Canyon. And in order to do that, he had to run down South Kaibab, meet me, and I had run 20 at that point, meet me carrying his water and then a liter of water for me. Then we ran together until Bright Angel. And then he gave me more water, his water there. We swapped out. He filled up at Bright Angel, ran up, took a 40-minute shuttle to Hermit's Rest, filled up more water, ran down to meet me. And of course, I'm having a panic attack at this point. I'm not good. Running was fine, but I was I'm going to run out of water. And I again, Alex, I think you'll appreciate this. Into the canyon, no one is there. I was George wasn't where he was supposed to be, but my watch was wrong. So really he was. And I just yelled, where the F is George? I'm
echoing off the canyon.
Yeah, just I'm alone on Hermit's Rest screaming this. I finally see him running down this sliver, and I'm I'm over here, hurry. I'm not dying, I'm fine.
He's yeah, I know.
And he gets to me, and I'm just crying. I drink all of the water, and but then I was immediately fine. I went from being pity party, I can't believe you're not where you were, not realizing my watch is wrong. And he just ran 7,000 feet of vert and 27 miles to give me liters of water. And I'm just
and you're screaming into the canyon.
Yes, I'm in the most beautiful place possible. And I'm where the F is this selfish person. And he's like, I'm
How dare
literally
he?
dying. Yeah, he's like, I've eaten like a Cliff Bar. Like the man's
It's hard
eating
enough
just,
in
like,
its own.
yeah, he's just like eating stuff that like, or just, just random things that I haven't eaten. I'm like,
Trying to sustain himself. Yeah. Our
Yeah.
husbands
A
talk
Swedish
like that.
fish and
Really
yeah, and
good
I think
talk.
it's part of the crewing thing is knowing, like, I might not. I guarantee you, none of us are going to be our best selves 100% of the time, and that crew person, it's like there's an agreement, this like weird handshake of being like, I might be a dick, and they're like, I'm not going to take it personally. And you're just like,
Right.
but like in normal life, I wouldn't say, like, Alex, you probably wouldn't be crying in like your bathroom yelling at your husband. Maybe you would.
Maybe.
depends.
But like there is that thing where you're like, look, I become a different person.
Yeah, I think
always
that's
that
why it really
potential.
helps have people who have experience with these
Yeah.
things, where it's like they know, they've been there, they've been on the other side of it.
And I
Okay.
think that's why it's important to have like a person you have a really good relationship with, because if it's like a loose friend,
Yeah,
I'm going to spend a lot of energy trying to like be demure and polite
and
to
worrying
them.
about that person, like, are they okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like with our partners, I'm like, I'm expending no energy. I'm sorry. I'm being a jerk.
Mhm.
Like, and that's not right. It's not great, but I think it's just a part of the sport. Honestly, it's like a team sport, even though it's just one person running. You've got like a whole crew that's
Yeah.
sacrificing for you to do this dream of yours. And I think our responsibility as a runner is to be like, okay, I'll pay it forward. Like, I will be there for you. I'll be selfish now, but I'll be selfless for you.
Yeah.
And I think part of that does come in how this conversation started and just setting them up well to serve you well, which kind of sounds weird. And there's things you can do for that. One closeout question, because I know we got to go.
Yeah.
If you're in that pit, that little wallow pit of yours, what is the one surefire thing that's going to get you, like, if my partner does this, it's going to get you back out on the trail feeling a little bit better?
Ooh.
Mine is a handful of chips and a hug.
Okay. Alex?
Yes.
Oh, you're so wholesome and nice. Mine is
I
like
know.
kind of doubting me a little, where it's like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't finish, maybe you can't.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. I think,
Not
God,
that
Pull your hair a little bit.
clear, Jared hasn't done that.
yeah.
That's not his motivator.
I think I'm somewhere in between both of you where, like, I really am not. I need to come to a decision on my own. Like, I am someone in that moment where, like, I don't want your opinion. I don't want your advice. If I've made up my mind, it's like very obvious. Like, and so I think I need someone who will just accept whatever it is I'm saying, because even if I'm like trying to DNF and they're like, okay, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, I'm like, what? You don't believe in me?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that. But
Oh, you
then
think we should
also,
quit?
yeah, it's also like, if I'm ready to DNF or like just stop,
You kind of
I
have to
want them-
test it out.
yeah, like I'm like, yeah, I'm just pitching the
Do I
idea.
want?
Like, what,
Yeah.
react?
Mood board.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a
like,
little.
let's
Oh, you
just-
think that?
Yeah, we're gonna test this with the audience. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. Well,
I'm a complex being.
man. Okay. For those crewing these two in their next couple races,
Oh,
there's some
brutal.
tips.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
Crew actually listens to
as
this.
always, as always, so great to talk. Alex will be joining us at least monthly for the time being, and she's going to be bringing topics just like this. So if you guys also have any topics you want us to chat about as a trio, feel free to comment. But otherwise, we'll catch you on the trail.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, this is Taylor with Believe in the Run, and today I have the privilege to sit down with Chris Myers. And if you are in the trail space, you know this name on results, maybe seen him running around Boulder, all over the world. And he's been a really integral athlete in a brand new shoe coming out in March called the Brooks Cascadia Elite. He's a Runderwear athlete, and probably so many other sponsorships. I don't know who you're all sponsored by, but Chris, I just want to say welcome to The Drop.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, and I mean, I brought up Runderwear, and I'm fairly new to the brand, and we're going to be getting some product in for review. Obviously, our background is review. So I wanted to get a little intimate off the bat and ask your preferences of Runderwear. And is Runderwear like your daily underwear choice or just on the run? Like, these are questions I'm having right away.
Yeah, you want to know my size too?
Yeah. If you could just put your social security number, all that.
Yeah,
we'll
credit card, favorite pet's name.
Exactly.
No, so the funny thing is I'd been using Runderwear for a few years before I ended up reaching out to them because I just really liked the product and it solved a lot of the problems that I was having on the trails. So if you're not familiar, Runderwear is just a running underwear that's seamless.
The name is brilliant.
Yeah, it's great. I'm really impressed that they were able to trademark that.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, it rolls right off the tongue. Makes a lot of sense. It is what it says it is. It's underwear you wear while you're running. Yeah, it's very seamless and it prevents chafing. And I, in the past, have been a big proponent of running in half tights. And half tights are good at preventing chafing, but not all chafing because every half tight you wear will have seams. So I naturally solved the problem because a lot of half tights don't have built-in liners. I just would go and wear some underwear and it would keep me chafe free. So I'm a big fan of the briefs. You could always do the longer boxer style ones. They're form fitting. They fit nice and close to the skin. But I generally just wear the briefs. And while I don't wear them every day outside of running, I do find myself wearing some of the boxers outside of running, but every run I'm wearing them because I pretty much 100% of the time use half tights. So in order to keep myself comfortable throughout all my training, I would say they're pretty much a daily underwear. In terms of how much
and I mean,
have to
once
run.
you go the ultra distance, that chafing issue is something that, you know, everybody runs into and if you have like I have a more robust lower body thanks to my mom and dad, and like that's an issue that I've had to deal with, like no matter if I'm trying to wear short shorts, half tights, anything, like I've had that same issue. Do you have any like names of particular brand models you use? Do you use the briefs themselves? Do you get into that merino at all?
Yeah, in the winter I use the merino. In Boulder it gets a little bit chilly. And you know, to be frank, that's one of the parts that gets kind of cold, and you don't want to get cold. I've had to end a run before because I got too cold. I was like, I think I might do damage to myself, but the merino keeps me pretty warm. But for the most part, I use the normal briefs, and I've used them in hot and cold weather, and they've functioned fine. I think the merinos are good for just a little bit colder.
Yeah. Okay, there's your hot tip. Hot tip from Chris Myers himself. Chris, you and I don't know each other, and I don't know a lot of your background. Could you give the audience just a little taste of your history and your relationship with endurance sport as we kind of set up the rest of this conversation and all the success you've had this year?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Southern California, in the LA area, and that's where I actually started trail running. I didn't live in LA proper for a good bit. I lived up in the high desert, kind of northeast of Los Angeles. If you know where Six Flags Magic Mountain is, 25 minutes away from there, off the 14 freeway. So yeah, I was running in the high desert a lot. All we really had were trails. It was pretty hard to find any flat running. And I started doing, longer and longer, just normal runs, just on the trails. And I was eventually talked into doing my first ultra, which was the Bulldog 50K, which is out in Malibu, California.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a nice 2-looper, hot summer race. And I was very lucky that no one really fast showed up that year. So I was able to win my first 50K. It definitely took a toll on me. I was cramping. I couldn't really walk normally for a few weeks after. It was very humbling, but it definitely
I feel like
got,
that's always
yeah.
the experience you kind of need for your first ultra.
Yeah, I didn't.
You're going to
I
get it
didn't
anyways,
fuel. I didn't hydrate correctly. I was like, man, that was really hard. But I think I can get better at this. So from there, I moved on.
And how
to
old were
other
you
ones.
with this? Are you
That
like
was in 2019.
Okay.
So,
were
let's
you
see.
in? Yeah.
I
I've talked to some
graduated
people
college.
recently. Yeah. Well, I've talked to some people recently who have gotten into ultra running in high school, and I'm like, that's not at all like what I would have been wanting to do in high school. Okay, so you were out of college and you popped into this.
Yeah,
Was
7
running
years
part of your
ago.
life prior?
Yes, so I ran a bit in high school, and then I ran a bit in college. I didn't run on our D1 team; I ran on our club team. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at results, I think our club team could have, showed up
Yeah.
against our D1 team. We were a pretty good club team. I really like the atmosphere. I think it kind of harkens back to my attitude on the trail. Like, we were there because we liked running and wanted to run fast, because we were just a good group of people that wanted to
Mm-hmm.
do our best, but still focus on school. And it wasn't our
Yeah.
entire identity. So I've kind of taken that with me on the club atmosphere, which was, all road running. But, when I moved
Yeah.
back home after college, I'm like, well, I only have trails, so I'm going to run trails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a natural segue.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of jumping forward, do you feel like you still have that mentality a little bit? I know trail running obviously has to play a major part of your life, but do you have like I need this to be fun and I need to have other things in my life?
Yeah, I think balance is really important, because if you become too tied to your performance and your results, it can become a little bit less fun. I don't think running should be work, because it's a privilege to go out there and suffer. And I think if it becomes too integral
Ooh,
to
that's
your
a
life,
quotable for sure.
oh, it's not my quote. I've definitely heard that before, but it's a privilege.
Okay. Yeah, just take it.
Yeah, don't attribute it to me. Yeah, I think in order to keep running as fun as it is, you can't worry too much about how it affects your day to day. It should always. Well, quick segue. I used to think
Yeah.
running made me really happy, but then like when life takes its toll, and like you have like a shitty few months, or a bad
Mhm.
few weeks. I started to realize that running wasn't something that like made me happy. It wasn't necessarily a source of happiness. But if I'm happy in life, running can build on that. It serves to boost what's
Totally.
going on in my life. So I don't think running is particularly a source of happiness for me. It's definitely something that can build on existing happiness. So I think you need to still take care of yourself and maintain balance in whatever work, life, hobby, friends, family that keep you stable, and then running will just build off that. So
Yeah.
balance.
Balance is that. Yeah, and I've talked to many athletes who there's kind of two camps of like, no, I'm in it to like just like laser focus on it, and the balance for many I think is probably more of the answer of
I mean,
finding
you should be
the most joy
focusing
out of it.
You should,
Yeah.
if you're at a certain level, you should be devoting a good amount of focus while you do it. But I think
course.
there's plenty of hours in the day to not be laser focused on that, because you need a break from being laser focused. Like, I mean, I'm still going to be taking my running very seriously, but I'm also
Yeah.
going to be taking the rest of my life very seriously too, with having fun and
Yeah.
keeping some things isolated, because running isn't a permanent sport, and I still want to have some things outside of running that I can always fall back on, or just distract myself with.
Yeah. So what kind of things are those for you? If I just saw you out on the street in Boulder, what kind of things would you be heading to or doing?
Probably going somewhere to get some food. I'm a big food
Okay.
person. I love food.
Okay.
But yeah, before, so unfortunately, recently I got laid off from my 9 to 5 job, which was working in visual effects for movies and TV, which is an LA-based industry.
Yeah.
It wasn't really my fault. It was just a company shift in leadership.
Yeah.
But it's been nice to maybe take this next year. We can get into that later, about my next year, to focus.
Let's go into it now. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to focus a lot more on running this year, and I'm in a position to do running a bit more full time. I think I'll always be keeping running or my art stuff on the back burner. Like it'll always be a part of my life, whether I do it for myself or for a company.
Mm-hmm.
But this next year will be primarily focused on running, because I'm always going to be doing little art challenges here and there. Unfortunately, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll probably have seen my art. And if you're just there for running, I apologize.
Unfortunately, yeah, right. Well, that's the thing. That's what I like.
Doesn't do as well.
I mean, we all have that on our pages, the things that do well,
diluting my content.
Don't. But I appreciate that, and like even these conversations, like we could talk about food or your other career and all that, and I think it adds value to seeing you as a person and not just a runner. Yeah. Like, yeah, because you're Chris Myers. You're not just, athlete. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So then, I mean, are you kind of a busy type person who would do you want like a part-time job just to kind of fill some space? Do you want like a certain thing are you going to add classes now to learn more like that kind of thing? Yeah.
I think it depends on the time of year, because I can always do freelance contract work, and just, based a lot of, in the industry, a lot of the contract work is project based. So sometimes the studio will have a short TV show, a music video, or a movie that they just have to work on a few shots. And then they'll usually pick up another, few contractors for a few months. So I could see myself in some down season, maybe recovering from a race, picking up some more work while I'm a little bit more stagnant, and just work for a few months and then just come back to running once I'm done recovering. So it might work out that way.
And so what would be your ideal? Like, what's the most fun projects for you to be working on?
That's tricky, because my job takes me to a lot of weird places in terms of what I'm doing. Some days I'm working on clouds, some days I'm working on telephone poles or whatever stuff. So a lot of my work is doing background and set extensions. A lot of it's in 2D, so in Photoshop. I think the most rewarding projects are projects that I know a little bit about outside of work. Rather than just some nameless TV show where you're doing something small. I would like to do more established than like shots, and just more chances to be creative. I don't really have an exact answer. It finds me halfway through. I'm like, okay, I'm really enjoying this. But I definitely think things where I'm doing less band-aids and more like creation, like, okay, we want an entire background for you to do. I enjoy that stuff more, rather than let's paint out these palm trees because this place is supposed to be in like the Midwest and not Los Angeles.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, having that creative outlet and just like piece of who you are, we found that like a lot of skateboarders, surfers, artists tend to navigate or find themselves on the trails because of that like creative, more kind of like nebulous space it might provide. Would you say that's kind of the same for you?
Yeah, I like to say that getting out on the trails is more interesting. I feel like I need a little bit more stimulation than maybe I'm not going to say less creative people, because everyone's creative in their own right. But for me, it stimulates me a bit more to have more variety in what I'm doing. Like running is, and at its core, very simple. You're one foot in front of the other. But I like to be engaged. I don't like to do the same routes more than once if I can help it. I'll do the same trails here and there, but I love to just change it up and just find variety. And I think that's really played into, why I'm traveling as much as I am and trying to experience new places, and then also not redoing too many of the same races over and over. So I guess for this next year, I'm not re-entering in Western states, because I think there's a lot of exploration to be had out there and a lot of other, things to conquer. Not to say that I conquered anything, but I definitely feel like I want to move around and explore and stay stimulated.
Yeah, exactly. And I find that on the trails too, of like even a simple, daily run, even if it's on the same segment of single track, it can be different going and coming. It could be different because it's,
out and back
it was
versus
snowing
loop.
yesterday. It's blue sky today. Yeah. And so like, I feel like, yeah, I really resonate with that, having more stimulus on the trail for sure.
Yeah, and it definitely offsets sitting in an office chair for 8 hours.
Yeah, seriously. So then, like, after that first race, were you like immediately cued into some of those things of like, wow, this is a neat space to be competing in? Like, were just a lot of things in your life, based on what you've said, like the creative side, the running and competing side, kind of even your home trails, exploring that, are like all those kind of what motivated you to continue with this silly sport?
Well, it felt really familiar to me because that's what I really had growing up. I spent a lot of my time as a kid just wandering around out in the desert in our little creek area, catching lizards and just being outside. Like, not to like sound like too old, which is just like, but I would go outside for a lot of my entertainment as a kid. And I feel like, my mom would be like, "Oh, you're annoying me. Go play outside." I'm like, "All right." I go outside. I bang sticks on a rock and sit and watch little tadpoles in the stream. I feel like continuing this has always felt very like familiar, and like I never really left that. And I like to keep the childish aspect of that wonder and joy in my life, and having a lot of fun with being out there. And I think trail lends itself to having a lot more fun than maybe road running. I know you can dress up real funny on the road too, but
Of course,
I feel like
yeah.
I can be maybe a little bit more silly with a little bit more leeway on the trails. I think that it's still very much in my DNA, and it feels like a natural evolution of how I started. And I've really just been enjoying this because aside from just the sport, being outside, the people are just amazing. I feel like, when you meet a runner for the first time, you just have so much shared history. You guys get each other. And I feel like I've had the most like fast tracked friendships with runners. Like, I'll go on a run with someone and the next day they'll be like, "You want to house sit for me?" I'm like, "I just met you yesterday." It's just,
Absolutely.
I don't know. That's just like our culture. We're very, I don't want to say like trusting people, but I feel like we understand each other pretty immediately and kind of mesh together.
Yeah, I think there's certain, just to running itself, like there's certain characteristics that, people have to have certain characteristics to innately want to continue this. And then even more so on the trails and in wild spaces. And I mean, you go on a long run with someone new, like you'll learn more about their life than their neighbor does probably.
Yeah, I know. Or their spouse.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Hey, you want to go on a long run? I can tell you all about my life.
Yeah, and things you do or don't want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so
like
then from that,
ultra running is an overshare.
oh my gosh, just in itself, I've had like, because sometimes a couple of races I've run like over a 50K with a single person, and what do you do other than talk? Yeah, shout out to Stephen Pretak. Had some great conversation with him. So then after that first ultra, was it like, let's go, let's get into it? Because I mean, going from 2019, you said this was, to 2025, getting could have been a guaranteed spot back at Western States. Like, that's a fast track of getting there. And,
it is,
and on the level of running that is today.
Yeah, I mean, the sport's different. I feel like it allows us to run faster, but I'm still a newbie. Like, I've only done 200 miles, 100-miler races. I think after my first ultra, I think maybe there's something wrong with me because I'm still doing it to this day. I'm like, okay, I did this. I messed this up. I want to do better next time. I don't think I'm ever like completely satisfied with my result. Even ones where I've managed to eke out a win, I'd be like, all right, I think I could have done this here and done that there. I think after my first ultra, I was like, wow, I cramped, I was dehydrated, I got bonky. What can I do? And those were relatively easy fixes. But then as you progress in the sport, you find out that it's an entire can of worms. So my first year at
Yeah.
Western States, I was like, all right, how do I mitigate heat? How do I keep my downhill legs for longer? How do I make my crew transitions faster? How do I organize crew to get there faster or just more efficiently? And how do I compose my crew to help me a little bit quicker? And you find endless things to improve on. And then it's really gratifying and satisfying to go to the next year and then apply those and hopefully have them work. So
Yeah.
I think
And
in my
it's-
fast track, it's been a constant state of how can I do better?
Yeah, and that's a natural athlete thing, but we're finding that, not just the caliber of athletes, but the experiences we have to draw from. Even when I started ultra running, coaches weren't really a thing. And now that's just one of those things that many people have, and that experience laid on them. So you're not only getting your own experience, but you're getting the experience of all the people you run with if you have a coach and all the races you've done. And so, yeah, it's a fun problem to solve every time you go out. And I mean, let's talk about Western States a little bit this past year. Obviously, from an outsider looking in, like we were there, we got to see you finish. We got to see you, come around that track ahead of Killian and just like, yeah, it was amazing, like an amazing moment in sport. And in our mind, like, wow, Chris had a day. Like it was so cool to experience.
I did have a day.
You did have a day. And do you look at that and do you find satisfaction in it now?
Oh, tremendous satisfaction and validation. Because it's always a gamble to, put that many chips into one race. I feel like my whole year was built around doing well at Western. Every race before that was, a practice race of sorts. I had some fun races I wanted to get out of the way, but every race was like, all right, I want to practice, doing this. I want to try a new vest, a new shoe, new gear, new strategy with hydration or fueling. And I don't know, like, I'm moving to Boulder was, a big move for me. And, I kind of like picked up my life and left behind a lot of my friends. And I feel like being able to show them that I didn't move for nothing was pretty cool. And, and it's always like a gamble, and it's a lot of work and a lot of energy. And then to have it pay off it's incredibly satisfying. And it's also just a huge relief, because I would say that track is one of my favorite places on earth, because the pressure starts building from a year out, or as soon as you get a ticket, and it builds every day, every week, every month. And then on that day it builds every hour until you finish. And then as soon as you hit that track, you cross the line, it just blows away. And you just get this huge sense of relief. No matter how well or poorly you did it, you just know you did it and it's over. And you're just at this track and everyone's going crazy and you're just with your friends. And it's got to be one of the best feelings ever. And for the longest time, I didn't understand why people would, come back to States every single year. But I'm like, you are kind of like chasing that dragon of just like how insane it feels to finish that race and finally be free and done and just there to celebrate. But it was a huge relief. It felt like a day. I kind of wish I had a little bit more time to savor it the last mile, but we had to go.
You had to get going, because I mean, you were in the company. I mean, many of the listeners to this podcast might be in the marathon and road running world. Obviously, we're talking trails. So, I mean, you were in the likes of not only running some of the fastest times on that course, very close to Jim Walmsley. That's, a household name in runners. Also is Killian Jornet. Like, what does it feel like to be, and obviously Caleb Olson, but those two names, Killian Jornet, Jim Walmsley, being in that company, just like putting your name up there. What does that mean to you? Does it mean anything to you in that sense?
It does. It definitely gives me a bit of imposter syndrome, because they're those people. They're very good. They're the best. And it's kind of weird to be like, okay, because I ran this time, am I one of the best, or am I just getting started, or did I plateau? There's always, self-doubt, but it's really cool. And I always tell people this when they're racing, whenever you're racing someone, they're always everyone's just human. Everyone's a person. Like, you can always have your day, and that's because, like, that's the beauty of trail running. You can have a day that reflects, truly who you are. And, they can have bad days, they can have good days, but at the end of the day, like, who crosses the line first and who gets it, that's, who gets to celebrate it. And I don't know, I feel like people might doubt themselves a little bit too much when these big names come out, but if you work hard and you have your day, you could be up there. And I think one of the more validating things is that, instead of feeling like I overperformed that day, I feel like I've strung together enough results to feel like I earned that spot. I'm sure I surprised a bunch of people. I mean, I surprised myself in some regard, but I do think I deserved that, because I told my crew even before the race, I'm like, these are the times we're aiming for. I think the time was not a surprise, but my place was a little bit more of a surprise because I thought more people were going to be running low 14s.
Can I zero in on a comment you just made? And I wrote it down. I've never done this on a podcast. You said you can have a day that reflects who you are. And I know that just by knowing you for 25 minutes now, of like, that doesn't just mean to you your physical fitness right now. Like, what does that mean, that it reflects who you are?
I think it means two things. It's incredibly hard to have a perfect day out there. And I didn't have a perfect day, but I think that everyone should be running, everyone that's able to commit the time to, performing at a high level. And, if someone's earned a golden ticket, they should be running in the low 14s and maybe even breaking 14 if nothing goes wrong. So I feel like when you have a day where nothing goes wrong, you get to truly show your full potential and show who you are. But also for me, I allowed, myself to, I was allowed to express myself in certain ways on the trail and have a good time, put little small emojis on my kit, be really stupid at the river, and just kind of have fun that day. Like, I feel like it means two things. I was able to have fun, but I was able to actually perform to my ability because, very few things went wrong. But it's trail running, so something always goes wrong. So being able to have as many good days where things don't go wrong is also can be a characteristic of an athlete. You can be like more consistent.
Yeah.
But I think being able to have such a good day is very rare, and not everyone has their day. It's just nice to do it on a big stage.
Yeah. And at that particular race of like, one with that level of competition, and you come to a race that there's so many people who have their crews dialed. So when your episode goes out, it'll be tied to an episode that we talk about all about crewing. And so like, that's a part of it too, of like, when you say that reflects who you are, and not only is it reflecting you, but also all the people you brought with you, right?
Oh, I owe everything to my crew. They knocked it out of the park. This is a stat I love to throw out. Throughout the entire race, we had about 11 minutes of stop time. Over the 21 or so aid stations, that equates to around 30 seconds, plus or minus a few seconds per aid station. That's like the uncrewed ones, and the uncrewed aid stations take a little bit longer because you're just handing your bottles off, and they're very efficient at those. But I think I had some of the fastest transition times, and that definitely helped me. And everyone was so dialed. I do think I was able to delegate fairly well, but then the crew had to adapt, and they had to just, learn on the fly. Like they very quickly learned, because I had someone filling my arm sleeves with ice. They learned that I would always grab a bottle to drink with my right hand first. So they would learn to fill my left arm first. And then once I was done drinking, they would move to my right arm. Like I didn't anticipate that, but they were learning on the fly. Yeah.
That's amazing. So,
well, if you want some tips, I say delegate as much as you can and give everyone just one job.
Okay.
Just one job. So they
kind of talked about like who, not everybody's going to want to bring their mom to be your crew leader. Like my mom's there. She's been around pretty much every race. She could be someone who could do everything for me. Let's be honest. But not everybody's mom or best friend can. So who do you who do you tend to bring with to your races? Like, who are the people you can depend on?
I think bringing other runners is really important because they understand the stresses of the sport, and sometimes they can anticipate what you're going to need, even if you don't say it. So I had one of the neat things I did this year was I had crew captains, because I think it's really important to have someone who's on top of, getting the crew to a certain location, and they don't have any real like obligations in terms of taking care of me. Their job was to take care of the crew, make sure everyone's eating and drinking, because you don't want the crew to DNF.
Yeah, because that's
making
exhausting
sure
in its own right.
Oh yeah. So they're making sure they're getting to the right place in the right time. They're rallying the troops, and then they're also there as a source of knowledge. So John Ray, he's one of my close friends in Boulder. He's also raced Western States several times. And then Brad, who's one of the precision athlete managers. So he's really good at just taking control. I think he was in the military, so it's even better. So both of them were just solid anchors. They got the crews where they needed, and they were able to answer questions. And I think John was able to answer a lot of questions and also reassure my crew of like what was going on. It's like, oh, Chris was like quiet at this one. He's like, oh no, he's just focused. Or do you think Chris would want that? And then he's like, yeah, yes or no. Like, it's good just to have people that know what to anticipate. So I think runners and athletes are probably some of the best. I do think family members are great, but some of them can tend to panic and not understand, like, oh, he didn't talk at this aid station, or he was a little bit like short with us, or he didn't say this or that, or he went out of order. What's wrong with him?
You
So
can delegate as spectator for that one.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think my mom was at Forest Hill, and after the race, she's like, I saw you at Forest Hill. I'm like, I didn't. There was like 2,000 people.
So many people there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for those tips. And you're not going back to Western States this next year. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. And I know there are more highlights in 2025. Like, we're just coming around the new year. It's a natural time to reflect. What are some other things of your 2025 that, like, if you just, scroll through your Instagram later on in life and want to remember, what are some things that you've like either really proud of, things that happened that were exciting you?
Well, it's kind of funny that I only won one race last year. I was on the podium for every other race that I really tried at. But Chuck and Nut 50K up in Bellingham, Washington, that was a lot of fun. I still have a lot of scars from that one. I had a face full of mud when I finished. Yeah. It was just typical slippery, wet, muddy conditions in the PNW. But I had a lot of fun at that race. Testing out some brand new shoes. That was the first race I ever ran in the Cascadia Elite. And I liked them so much that I wore a size that was too small for me. It did end up killing some toenails, but I liked that shoe enough to run in it for 50K. And then that kind of really kicked off a lot of like my confidence in racing. I know you wanted to talk about the shoe. I don't know if this is a good segue.
Yeah, I mean, let's get into it right now, because it's going to be. I mean, I was really lucky to get a really pair back in August, and it's one of those shoes that, like, Super Shoe takes on its own ideas when it's applied to the trails, and this shoe is no exception. It's certainly a super shoe in terms of performance and everything that's put into it. And I know you've been pretty integral in bringing it to life and providing feedback. Pretty much every conversation I've had with product team, they've brought up your name. And so obviously you like it, and it's special to you.
I'm a huge fan.
Tell us about it and your experience in 2025 with this.
Oh my God. The first time I saw a picture of it, I knew I loved it because it had everything I wanted in a shoe on the trails. It had good foam. It had the best type of rubber that's out there. And it had a matrix upper Elite with, sticks to rocks, wet rocks too. It had a matrix upper and then a booty gator type thing. And I was like, this is the perfect trail shoe for me because I used to run with Solomon before, and they had a lot of matrix upper shoes, and some of them had a tall booty. And I love those, but they never really fit my foot perfectly, and they always had, I mean, some of the slipperiest rubber,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. Let's be
So
honest.
basically, it was taking the best parts I liked about a trail shoe that Solomon would have made and putting it into like a super shoe. And from when I saw a picture of it, I'm like, that looks cool. That, I mean, Brooks is a very safe brand where a lot of their stuff is just very,
Yep.
very applicable to everyone. But this shoe
Mhm.
looks fast. It looks aggressive. It looks cool, and it functions like that. It makes you feel confident. So once I tried it on, I knew that this was going to be like my race shoe. I didn't really have a good shoe picked out for races for Brooks, so I was like, I don't know if I want
Yeah,
to do this one or that one. But this was it was 100%. This is a race shoe. This feels
and you
good.
had like the Catamount 4 or Catamount 3 and 4. I prefer
4,
the
yeah,
3
it's
over the
4.
4 personally. And you have the Catamount Agile, which is more of like it's very low to the ground, technical, fast, and you're not doing
100
you're not
miles
going to
an
want to
hour.
go 100 miles in either of those shoes. Let's be honest.
No.
So, and to your point, I mean, this I'm going to say this is to my point. Brooks has not been known as an innovative brand. So once they came out with even something like the Catamount Agile was like, whoa, this is can be something
Yeah,
special.
they're
And
thinking
then
about
seeing
specificity.
exactly, and now the Cascadia Elite as kind of an extension of that, learning from that for you, you and racers like you going the distance, and not just having their road shoe with some extra lugs.
Yeah,
like it's a whole lot more
trail
than
lower.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so you
it's
wore
from the
this for
ground up.
Western states go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, from the ground up, it's a trail shoe. Sometimes you'll see brands take a road shoe and slap a trail base on it, and it's not the same. The Cascadia Elite is very, very stable. People might think it's a bit clunky, just looking at the cover. While it is a wide and like larger base shoe, it's very nimble, very agile. You've got really good ground feel, and it's light, and it doesn't, and it's super stable. So I don't know. I feel like it's surprising how nimble you can be in it, and I
Yeah.
think that'll take a lot of people by surprise in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Because when I knew that I could move well in it, but it just lends itself to the trails. And I tried out some other super shoes in my time between brands, and I liked a lot of them, but the biggest thing was the instability. I think the softness of the shoe lends itself to two things. One, it really helps absorb shock over the long distance of 100 miles, because you're, especially for a fast race like states, you're pounding a bit more than plodding. But also, there is a plate in there, and it's more for stability, but the shoe kind of adapts to the trails a little bit with the squish. So instead of it just shooting you off like a spring, as soon as you hit like a slanted rock, it does, it folds, but it does pop you back up where you need to be. And I've found that compliance helps a lot.
Okay, and so then when you're talking about the midsole, this is a 100% PIBA, and so like known for being a little more resilient, but having that cushion and responsiveness. So you're getting that underfoot. And that shape of the plate you're talking about, it's like horseshoe shape, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's unique in that sense of like, it's fun to hear you talk about it. Yeah, it has that stability. It will give you a little bit of pop for sure, just because of the shape of it. But that more dynamic sense of stability. And another thing, do you happen to have like a slightly more voluminous foot, a wider forefoot? Because I feel like
wide foot.
So this is one of the very few race day options for the trail that actually gives you a little bit of room to breathe, and you can maintain like your control. And so I'm a huge fan of this shoe. Exactly.
Yeah, I think not enough brands recognize that there is a demographic of wide-footed individuals, and I have a wide foot. I think in another life I'd be a good swimmer because I've just got,
got
big paddles, and I'm like a size 12 in Brooks. So it's annoying to actually have to travel with those shoes because they just take up a lot of space, but they're very light.
But for as big as they are light.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, I mean, this shoe is going to be coming in March, I do believe, early March, to the general consumers. There's a lot of people that want it, and I think it's going to please a lot of trail. Even if you're not racing in it, it's one that really feels good. You can get away with
shoe.
Yeah, just fun all around. Feels good all around.
It feels like it's gonna make you fast. You know, when you're a kid, you put on your new shoes. You're like, look how fast I can run. That's you in them, but they can actually make you pretty fast.
I mean, it's proven. It's proven.
Yes.
So where do you plan on taking your Cascadia Elites in 2026?
Internationally twice. I am planning. Well, I'm going to be at Black Canyon more, just pacing. I might hop into the 50K after pacing, just as a training weekend. But then beyond that, I'm going to be going to Mount Fuji 100 miler in April.
Sweet. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that is
I'm really
definitely on my
excited
bucket list. I'm jealous. Okay.
Well, I mean, it might be a food trip disguised as a race, but you
got to do what you got to do. Yep.
Yeah, I need a fuel. And then
will you get to spend more time there? Otherwise,
I'm planning on coming early and staying a little bit after.
Cool.
You need some time to adjust to the time zone.
Yeah, of course. And our other reviewers and people in our company, Japan is every year like usually their highlight. I've never been, so I'm excited to see it through your eyes.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're not done. You said you're going internationally twice.
Yes. So in between, I'll probably hop out to Broken Arrow. Maybe I'll race. Maybe I won't race, depending on recovery. But I'll be at Western States to pace and crew. Probably it'll be very odd being there, knowing I could be running, but I've already committed to doing UTMB. And one of the things I learned from last year trying to do CCC after was that my body isn't quite ready to do the double. I think maybe in time I can build up an amount of resilience that'll help me through that. But until then, I think if I want to do well at one, I have to pick one. And this year I picked UTMB. And I mean,
that's kind of the more recent idea of like maybe perhaps that double is kind of dead.
It's a bit ambitious. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there
huge.
are a few people who can do it.
Yeah.
I think if anyone can do it, probably Killian, because I was talking to him after the race and everything. And even just during states of elevation, that guy is so resilient.
Insane.
He can bounce back. He can go the distance and he can do it every day. I think someone like him could, nail the double pretty well. Maybe he'll do it this year. Maybe he won't.
Yeah.
I just know that I can't do it, at least at this stage of my running career. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I tried, even CCC, it's more applicable to states training, but I think UTMB is so different that it just kind of requires its own dedication. I mean, we've seen what Jim's done, he really made it a project. I don't know if I'll be able to go as seriously as Jim did in his preparation, but I'll try my best. I don't expect to knock it out of the park.
You'll have fun doing it.
But yeah, I'm gonna have fun doing it. I always have fun when I race. So that's the plan. I wanna throw my hat in and see how I can do at that type of race. I haven't really done that type of race before, but I do think Fuji will help prime me a little bit. I think it's not quite the same, but there's a lot of characteristics that are shared
for sure
with UTMB. It being international, running through the night, etc., etc. But yeah, that's my game plan for 2026.
Experience pays, and so I mean,
yes. I mean, I think even for states, there are things that I could tell to my previous self before I raced, and it still wouldn't be as useful as doing the race, again. Yeah, I learned so much my first time that, besides the changes I made with like training and crew composition, just mentally being prepared for parts of the course and how it's going to feel. It's huge. And I think that I think that's why there's such an emphasis on the people who have really fast states debuts, because it's really hard to nail the first time. And I think everyone that's going in for their second time has the biggest boost between year 1 and year 2. I think between year 2 and 3 or 3 and 4, there'll be smaller gains, but I think year 1 to year 2, it's huge. So yeah, experience pays.
Okay. Well, we're excited to see where your 2025 and before experience pays this year. Like, that's an exciting schedule, exciting to follow along. And I mean, hopefully we'll run into you. I'm not too far away. I'm up by Longs Peak Trailhead. So got to get down to Boulder, see what you're up to for training. Anytime.
Yeah. Again, I'm always looking for new trails.
Okay. We'll get you on some for sure. Okay. Sure. Thanks, Chris. I really appreciate you joining us on the drop.
Again.
Good stretch, got my laces tied. My trusty podcast by my side. If you want to tuck run, it's the place to be. Yeah, it's the drop. DROP.